So the 2022 Qatar World Cup has come to an end in a absolutely thrilling manner. So now that the tournament is done, obviously there's going to be team of the tournaments published, throughout the internet and throughout just social media in general. Although those things are purely subjective, the ones I saw, they do raise a question, especially if you take a look at, let's say, Sky Sports, their team of tournament. Now, although most of it is fairly accurate, some components of them or some players in there, I would entirely disagree, and they are definitely, missing out on, I would say, the best performers within the world. So with that set in mind, I figure I might as well publish my own version of the team of the tournament. Now, before we just come up with names in our head and just put them in the starting lineup, let's actually first list out potential candidates for the team of the tournament. So, in goalkeeper, obviously, there's a lot of great performance throughout the tournament. A lot of, you know, penalty shootouts, especially penalty shootouts. That's where goalkeepers' abilities are expressed. So obviously, we have Bonel, who's the Moroccan keeper, and this is pretty obvious against Spain. Penalty shootout round of 16. I would say that is the moment where Morocco truly lifted off, and Bonel is definitely a key figure in that game. Not only in the penalty shootout, but just across the match. It's unfortunate that they couldn't win against France. Obviously, I have made a reaction to that game on the channel. He's definitely captured a lot of attention. He's definitely a candidate for a spot in the team of the tournament. And then second on the goalkeeper list, obviously, it is Livakovic, Croatian keeper. And I would say Bonel and Livakovic, their status are pretty similar. They just kind of popped out of nowhere, without much recognition. But then they just go in the World Cup and just start like dominating, leading the example, setting the bar, and just helping out the team, contributing heavily to their team. And both of their teams are considered the underdog. Both made it to semifinals, and although in the third place playoff, Croatia have a slight edge over Morocco in that third place playoff. But personally, I believe we shouldn't take the third place into much consideration in this list. But nonetheless, Livakovic has been fantastic for Croatia. Obviously, penalty shootout against Japan. He's basically just carried Croatia in that penalty shootout against Japan. But being honest, those pens are a bit weak. And then in the quarterfinal, did so in a similar manner against Brazil. Two penalty shootout. That's absolutely mind blowing. But nonetheless, Livakovic is definitely a contender for this squad. And then last and finally, man, this without an argument, Emiliano Martinez from Argentina. Now, I guess, the negative attitude towards him, the negative stick across the internet towards Emiliano Martinez, primarily because of his things he does, his actions, and also, controversial stuff that this guy does and says. But to me, I actually enjoy this because, first of all, it brings personality. Second of all, it brings attention. Most importantly, shows how dedicated this guy is. Of course, this guy is not a nice guy, man. He's a hustler. But because he's a hustler, I gave him the credit because he's willing to just put himself out there. Whatever it is, he's almost selling himself out so that the team can. And this type of mentality, kind of rare in football. Oh yeah, that's not to mention, right? He carried them through, two penalty shootouts as well against the Netherlands. Obviously, quarterfinal 2-2. Carried the penalty shootout, and then in World Cup final, obviously that is absolutely clutch moment from him. And also that last minute save, absolutely clutch. Absolutely clutch. This guy, I mean, he talks big. He's got a very big ego, very rude and everything. But guess what? He's got the ability backing up. Now let's get to the defender. The right back. Now, in my mind, strong candidates for right back. There's really not much, I guess, right backs that stood out in terms of numbers, but there's definitely a name in my mind, and that is Achraf Hakimi. Achraf Hakimi obviously surprised everyone in this World Cup. Definition of underdogs, semi-final, just bulldozed their way across, absolutely destroying Their northern neighbors, Portugal, Spain, cut their way into semifinal. Just first African nation to do so. That's already great. And obviously, any player in that team deserve a shout in some way, shape, or form. He was getting up and down the pitch. He was whether it's offense, whether it's defense, whether it's in the transitions, whatever. This guy's everywhere, and this guy's just everywhere on the pitch. And then obviously Argentina, right? They're the champions. So which right back have Argentina got? Well, obviously Molina. Now many people might not even heard of Molina because he's not that well known. He's this type of player that if you're really a follower of football, you would know. But if you're just typical fan or just someone that's just only watching World Cups, you will not really know Molina. He's not really well known. He's kind of like a rotating player. But in Argentina, throughout the tournament, he's been very consistent, very, very consistent. Like, although obviously in the final, when Mbappe, got his goals, right? His defending is a bit questionable, but personally, I would say there's not much he can really do because it's Mbappe after all. But Molina, in terms of consistency, he's very consistent. But now let's move on to center backs. We will start with the Argentina duo, being Christian Romero and Nicolas Otamendi. Now I'll begin with Romero. Right, he's ever since he's been introduced to Argentina's national team, he's always been very consistent. I think just after that season at Atalanta, where you get transferred to Tottenham Hotspur, even in club level, he's just been that consistent performer, and it's the same for Argentina in the World Cup. Otamendi obviously partners in the national team for Argentina. Otamendi has also, yeah, he's been great whole tournament, but in the final, giving away the penalty, it's kind of his fault, but that I would say that is uh sort of the only screw up that he did throughout the tournament. And yeah, I would say across the tournament he's been very consistent, very stable. It's just that the final and that one mistake kind of taunted his image, but nonetheless he's definitely a contender. Considering Argentina is the champions after all. And speaking of that Morocco team, size from Morocco, El Capitan, El Capitan, man. It's unfortunate that he couldn't finish the semifinal, but throughout the tournament he's been an absolute rock. He's been absolute rock, absolute leader in the back. Just absolute warrior, absolute warrior at the back. Just defending, and defending. And it's pretty obvious because uh, Morocco have their tactics are pretty straightforward. It's just hardcore defending. And obviously Sayas is a key figure in Morocco's achievement. And if you've just been watching the World Cup, if you have just been watching Croatia's games, Josko Gvardiol would definitely stood out to you. Josko Gvardiol. Now, again, he's also those names that popped out recently, but he is on the right track to become one of the best defenders in the world. He's 20. He's born in 2002, but he's been sensational. He's been sensational all tournament until the semifinal, obviously, where Messi, dribbled him, sort of played around with him. But Gavardio wearing that mask, he's popping out like Batman. He's popping out, just wearing that mask, tackling players, throwing himself out there. Just he's got the aggression, but he's also got the stability on the ball. Amazing as well, composed, long balls, short range passing, everything. This guy's got it all. This guy's got it all, and he's only 20 years old, already performing at top level for Croatia in the World Cup. Leading them to semifinals. He will definitely be a contender for this position too. And last but not least, in the center back list, we have the man himself, the GOAT himself, Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, y'all might think this is a joke, but Harry Maguire in his World Cup, I mean, obviously England's only made it to quarterfinals, and then after that, obviously eliminated by France in a very, very controversial way. But in terms of individual performances from a defender, Harry Maguire, when it comes to center backs, is definitely one of the top performers in this tournament. Now, yeah, and the stats say it too. He's for England in his World Cup. He's made little to no mistakes other than that Iran goal by Taremi. I mean that's the only mistake that is obvious to the viewers' eyes. But yeah, Maguire has been very consistent for England. He's definitely best England defender. He's played good games in and out, and obviously in the quarterfinal he's had a great game. He's had a fantastic game against France. Giroud basically for half of the game, Giroud is finding trouble, slipping into the box because of Maguire's physical presence. But obviously, he still managed to score that header. But a lot of people are blaming Maguire for that goal. But honestly, the fact that Maguire is the only player in the England squad to have awareness over Giroud's possible threat to the goal just shows you that he's actually got some levels. Now, obviously, for Manchester United, we all know how dreadful he is. He's in club level. He's just almost like a different player to himself in the England squad. But yeah, Harry Maguire is a contender for the spot and will be a contender for the spot. And now let's move on to left backs. Now, actually, left back, I would say Theo Hernandez at left back. He's definitely a contender. Really, he's been inconsistent, especially against England. How Bukayo Saka just totally made a fool out of Theo. And it's not only that game, just throughout the whole tournament, defensively, he's been very unstable. Yeah, he's got his moments with goals. Obviously, that goal against Morocco. I would say he's just above average at best, but his France, they are finalists after all, and he's been pretty, yeah, just above average for them. So yeah, he will be on the list. Now let's move on to midfield, and obviously we have to hop to Morocco again. We have to jump to Morocco again, and it is very very obvious who I'm gonna name. Obviously, there's two of them, but Amrabat and Unahi. I'm still struggling to pronounce Unahi. But Amrabat, well, obviously Morocco most of the time they play with three midfielders. So Unahi is gonna be central midfielder, and Amrabat is gonna be your defensive midfielder. But let's start with Amrabat. It's been absolutely unreal. Nobody's heard of him. Nobody even know this guy existed. Well, even though he existed for actually quite a long time, and he's playing for Fiorentina. Again, he's this type of player that nobody really thought of, nobody took seriously, but ended up showing levels. Defensively, he's been solid, right? In terms of distance covered, he up there, and he just popping out everywhere. He's popping out in his own box. He's popping out in the opposition's half. He's just popping. He's just popping out everywhere. Defensively, absolutely solid. The way he tackled Mbappe in that semi-final. Same with his partner in midfield, obviously for Morocco. He's the more technical guy out of the two. He's the more technical guy. He's silky skills, but also in terms of work rate and everything, he's also got it. And yeah, just the way he plays, the how composed he is, how mature he is. It's very surprising that a guy like him haven't received the attention before the World Cup, because those performances in that Morocco jersey in the World Cup, they are just absolutely shocking, By shocking, I mean, shockingly good, surprisingly good. And now let's move on to, yeah, the entire Argentina midfield. Enzo Fernandez, Mac Allister, and DePaul. All three guys are definitely contenders for the midfield slot. Let's just start with Enzo. Enzo, young player of the tournament, well deserved, only 21. Literally the beginning of this year, he's still playing in Argentina, still playing in River Plate. Nobody's really heard of him. But ever since coming to Benfica, he's been silky. He has been silky. Enzo, right, before is more of a box to box type of player, but basically he has proven in his World Cup that he can play as a deep line playmaker. His spot in Argentina, again, playing that pivot role, the way he just distributes the ball, the way he controls the tempo of the game, just how composed he is at that position, it honestly reminds me a bit of Busquets. Obviously, prime Busquets, not this current Busquets. But he feels more like a 30-year-old player playing in that position than a 21-year-old youngster. And then let's move on to obviously McAllister and DePaul, right? Rodrigo DePaul, although in the beginning of the tournament he's receiving criticism, people are saying it's not good enough to be starting lineup. But obviously, Messi's bodyguard definitely deserve a spot in this list because in the later stages he has proven himself. Again, DePaul, people are more used to him doing, I guess, the technical work, but now he's turning into more of a workhorse. But yeah, his work rate, his dedication, the way he help out in defense, help out in attack, the way he covers the pitch, and the fact that he's good old Messi's bodyguard. In my opinion, yeah, in the later stages, he's been very stable option for Argentina. He definitely deserves a spot in this list as well. And then, last but not least, freaking Mac Allister. Mac Allister. He does not sound Argentinian, right? This name does not sound Argentinian. It sounds Scottish as hell. Guy looks Scottish. Guy looks like mix of De Bruyne, Ramos, and Messi all at once. Right? Just look like that Scottish guy. But somehow he's playing for Brighton and he has won the World Cup with Argentina. This guy's unreal. This guy is just, you can't really take him seriously. But if you look at how he plays football, you should take him seriously. This guy, right? Like what I said before the World Cup, right? He's just playing for Brighton. Nobody really thought much of him, but obviously because of Lo Celso's injury, he's in the Argentina squad and he's playing game in, game out. And yeah, playing that link-up position, he's almost reminds me a bit of Bernardo Silva. It's that type of player that's got great technique, but also got great work rate. And yeah, he's been very consistent for Argentina. Definitely one of the surprises of the tournament. And he's definitely a key player as well. And then obviously now we have the veteran, good old Luka Modric. Although this is his last World Cup, he has shown levels again. This guy, he ages like fine wine, okay? Like, yeah, the way he just commanded the pitch for Croatia, maybe the 2018 Modric contributed more, but this Modric right here, at that age, he's just an icon of the game at this point. He's an icon of this game, and leading Croatia to the semifinal, that by itself is already impressive. And then obviously there's Jude Bellingham, although again England's only in the quarterfinals. He has been a big hit. Southgate is before Bellingham, he likes to use Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice for the stability, right? But then he gave a shot at Bellingham, and now Bellingham has shown him why he is a starter for England. He is considered a generational talent, right? He's like 19 years of age, but he's playing football. Again, just the football IQ of this guy is up there with like the 30-year-old legends. And now let's move on to more so of the attacking midfielders. And obviously we're gonna start with none other than Antoine Griezmann. It's almost funny how this guy, he's literally a few months ago, he's getting screwed over by Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, right? And everybody thought he has fell off. But coming into the France national team, ever since Deschamps, made him play this role, he's just been absolutely unreal. He's almost like, I hate to say it, but he's almost like Iniesta, but more work rate, right? Everybody thought he fell off, but in this World Cup, he's definitely, if it's not Messi, if France actually won the World Cup, player of the tournament, obviously Mbappe is also up there, but Griezmann definitely top three players in this entire World Cup. And then obviously we'll get to Moroccan players because Morocco has just been popping out, right? So Hakim Ziyech, although I know he's been played as a winger, but I'll still categorize him as an AMF. Ziyech definitely, again, similar to Griezmann, maybe not as severe, but at club level, at Chelsea, he's not a standout player for sure. He's a rotational player. Nobody really take him seriously at Chelsea. But in Morocco national team, that manager definitely got the best of Ziyech. Definitely got the best of Ziyech. The way he plays in Morocco, the crossing, everything, the assists, definitely deserve a spot. And last but not least, we Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes. Although yeah, Portugal eliminated in the quarterfinal, but Bruno has is similar to Harry Maguire, I would say. Their teams didn't make it that far, but they have been consistent top performers for their team. And surprisingly enough, Bruno has the highest average match rating throughout the whole tournament, even higher than Messi, I think. Now, last but not least, let's move on to the attack. For the attackers, starting with France, you got Giroud and Mbappe, man. Mbappe, I don't need to say anything. Just look at the final. You don't have to watch. You don't even have to watch the entire World Cup. 2 goals in like 2 minutes, I believe. 2 goals in 2 minutes. Oh, that second goal, sweet volley, literally bottom corner, just tapped at it. Absolutely lethal. And Oliver Giroud, in the final, he's been pretty rubbish. Not gonna lie, hasn't done much. Totally cut out by Argentina's defense. But if you take that final out, he has had a great tournament yet again. Karim Benzema, right? Winning Champions League with Real Madrid. We all thought he's gonna be the key man for France in the World Cup, but no, it's good old Giroud. He has worked in 2018. He's worked for Deschamps. He has worked for France consistently. He's a target man, rare breed of forwards, but Deschamps, playing his classic counter-attacking football, needs a man like Giroud. Obviously, we'll have to shift our eyes to Morocco, right? And end the series with that absolute, I don't even know what that goal is against Portugal. Just that jump, and that just the moment that it came and the importance of that goal and everything combined, and the fact that they eliminated Portugal with that goal to go in the semi-final to break the record for like an African team, and just everything like that just makes End the Series also a shout in this list. And obviously now we get to go back to the champions, right? Argentina, the Argentina boys, man. Di Maria, Julian Alvarez, and most importantly, the GOAT, the man himself, man, Lionel Messi. Now, again, Lionel Messi, I don't need to explain. You know what? I'm gonna confirm it. He's the first guy, so we don't even need to talk about Messi. I don't even know how much like player of the match he has got. He's got it in every game he has played in, pretty much. Maybe not the final. Maybe Mbappe is better there, but like Messi, okay, he's Messi. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest of all time. Maybe you disagree that maybe he's not the greatest, but maybe he's one of the greats. It doesn't matter, right? People have their opinions. I believe Messi, after this World Cup. Like, this World Cup means so much, right? But now let's talk about Alvarez and Di Maria, right? Julian Alvarez, yes, he's not been major from the early stages, but that Croatia game, and that assist that got Argentina a goal, the contribution that he got for that Di Maria goal, right, in the World Cup final, and most importantly, his performance in the semi-final. You just have to put him there. You just have to put Alvarez in this list. You just have to mention Alvarez. This guy, wow, wow, like he just definitely informed the world that he deserved their attention. You know, Mr. Spider-Man, man. He's the Spider-Man, man. The way he hop around the pitch to start that counterattack, you know, to score that goal against Croatia, and then he is the Spider-Man. And obviously, last but not least, Di Maria. I mean, yeah, Di Maria hasn't popped for like most of the tournament, but he don't need to, because in the final he's got Argentina winning. He's got Argentina winning the World Cup. You take Di Maria out of the lineup, what will happen? I can tell you, Argentina will not win the World Cup if Di Maria's goal, the goal he scored, everybody saw that coming. Nonetheless, got a goal in the final, and also that penalty he costed. But it's not only those two goals, right? He has just he stirred chaos in that France defense. Right, guys, so this will wrap up today's video. Make sure to stay tuned for the next upload, which will be the final lineup itself, the final team of the tournament. And if you guys like this video, well, make sure to leave a like. And if you guys support what I'm doing, then make sure to click that subscribe button. And yes, that will wrap up today's video. See you guys later, and peace.